And I find that he was shot by a rocket launcher and his leg had gone.
Totally.
Right? So this Desho told me, he said, "Sir, आपके पास में पिस्टल है ना, मुझे गोली मार दो, मैं जीना नहीं चाहता." कहता अपाहिज हो जाऊंगा, अभी शादी किया है, घर जाके क्या करूं? So he says कि, "Sir, are you hurt?" I said, "No, obviously the guy died, I'm hurt." नहीं, मैं वो नहीं बोल रहा हूँ, आपको चोट लगा है क्या? मैंने बोला नहीं। बोला लेकिन आपका जूता तो गीला है। मैंने बोला जूता गीला है? बोला हाँ। So then I looked down. That socks, that green woolen socks which you have, it had gone, little blood all over. They never thought that they were Indians. They would, if they looked at an Indian, they had a different feeling altogether. Maybe, it could be that, this particular state was cut off from the mainstream for quite some time. Right? And they had Hindustani ho.
Okay.
That is how they used to call.
There was a difference in Kashmiri and
Kashmirian. These are from Hindustani and we are Kashmiris.
Okay.
So that feeling was there. Right? I was there when the first Lal Chowk mein the pehla blast hua tha. I was there in Srinagar that day.
Okay.
I still remember. I was there the first blast that happened.
No worries, sir. So, I wanted to ask about your first posting. Yeah, if you can share whatever detail that you can, and your experience, like how was it, where was it, if you want to or not. But what was the experience? Like you are a young, I'm assuming young. अब जाते हो आपकी first posting, and first posting is mostly special. The thing that I've heard for every army person, first posting is very important.
Okay, I have to set things right. I'll tell you what. When you get commission to the regiment, like I got commission to this regiment. Now every regiment has got battalions. I got commissioned to 3rd Assam, the 3rd Battalion of the Assam Regiment, right? And after my pre-course training, like I said, was in Happy Valley, Shillong. Then I went for my young officers course, which was there in Belgaum. That's where we do our commando course, which you must have heard, one of the toughest course across in the world. It is even tougher than the Rangers.
Yes.
It's a 28 days course. Part of your weapon training and tactical training. The last leg is called the commando.
Commando.
After the commando is over, that is where you say that nothing is impossible once you've done that. Right? When you go to the Lido tank, now the Lido tank is where you walk on the plank and then you jump down from there. And after that, you feel that you're the bravest of the brave. I mean, you can do anything in this world. And you have survival of the fittest, you've done those exercises, you've done unarmed combat, all these things. You run through. So by the time you come out, you're tough. And when you're walking, there you don't require outpass. In the evening, you're on your own, right? When you're walking in the streets of Belgaum and going to an ice cream parlor, after the commando course is over, you're on, and you feel that you're the toughest person. And every third girl is going to look at you. So that's what happens. So after the commando course is over, my unit was in a place called Ranchi.
Ranchi.
You've heard of Ranchi,
Jharkhand,
right?
yes.
Jharkhand. Now Jharkhand, it used to be a part of Bihar before. And we were there. And we have a unique custom in the Assam regiment. I don't know how many other regiments, I'm not aware of it, but we have a unique custom. For about 2 months, you're not allowed to go to the officers' mess.
Okay.
For a layman, I'll tell you that we have the other ranks mess, we have a JCO's mess and an officer's mess. And officers' barracks are separate.
Okay.
You're not allowed to go there. Initially, 2 months you spend with the men.
Okay.
This is a custom which is, it is beautifully, I think the British had started this. And we've been following it in the Assam regiment in total. And there, what you do, you learn the basics.
Okay.
You will shed your dress as an officer. And you will be a sepoy.
Okay.
A Jawan.
Okay.
You will learn what the Jawan does. You will clean your own toilet. You will lay your bed up. You will do everything. Get up with him. Go to the quarter guard. You will do the morning duties.
Okay.
Now, when you attain, then you have junior commission officers who are overseeing the whole thing. He will tick off that yes, this guy is ready for the next thing.
Okay.
Then they'll the last Nayak or the Nayak, the next rank that comes in, wherein they will teach you the intricacies of how do you control a section, right? How do you learn how to do the accounting? We have a thing called a pay NCO. Now, pay NCO is basically, a person who calculates your emolument, like you're an HR. So in a thing, you'll have a pay NCO. So he will work out that this is his pay and allowances, and this is the leave schedule. That you will learn. Then you will learn as a Havaldar, next rank you will get, how to manage that particular platoon. Every platoon has got a platoon Havaldar. As a section, as a Nayak, you become a section commander. You basically learned about all the weapons, about the light machine gun and the SLR and the Shen guns and these things. You learn that. As a Havaldar, how do you manage a platoon?
Okay.
Then you also learn as a quartermaster.
Okay.
Like we talked about Bazul Kapasan, the quartermaster draw rations.
Yes.
Here you're supposed to be responsible for ration. So you know the beans.
In and out.
Yeah. So you by the end of the innings is over, by the time you graduate to a JCO and the JCO ticks you off that yes, he is ready to. Then that particular day, otherwise you're there, no quarter guard standing as a guard. Once this whole regime is over, ticked is over, the first time you will go to the quarter guard and the salute is given to you.
Okay.
So that's a very, very, an important day in your life that you have now been recognized as a part of the system. And then you are taken to the officers' mess. There's a proper dining in happen. It's called a dining in event, wherein all the officers, the ladies will come, and then there you are offered the first drink. Okay, now that you've not had a drink in the past, but this is, officially you've been given a drink. And Assam Regiment has got a very, very peculiar sort of a customs also.
Okay.
We have, our rhino is our this thing, our animal.
Yes.
Right? And rhino is a massive thing, the one-armed rhinoceros, which is called. So every unit will have a big rhino.
Okay.
As big as maybe the stable.
Okay.
Right? And obviously 2 legs in front, 2 legs behind.
Yes.
You have a gap in between.
Yes.
And that particular night, on the dining out thing, they keep you, they give you bottoms up.
Okay.
Right? You keep having bottoms up. And the final culmination of the whole thing is you have to go under that rhino.
Okay.
And if you go under the rhino, then you're ready for the
after that bottom.
Yeah, after the bottom.
Okay.
Right? So every regiment has own customs.
Yes,
Assam
sure.
Regiment is one of these things. Then you are coming into the officers' mess. So that was my first foray with my battalion. That is the 3rd Battalion, the Assam Regiment. And this was somewhere in 77. 77 I got my commission.
Okay.
And then as luck would have been, I got my first exposure to Internal Security Duty Act.
Okay.
You know that in Jamshedpur, this particular Hindu-Muslim riots happened in that year. And our unit was poured into Jamshedpur. And there we had, for the first time, we were deployed. And we were in penny pockets.
Okay.
Like every officer was given a platoon.
Okay.
And they were deployed to thwart
certain areas.
The riots that would happen. That area was given to them. And then you were reporting to your bosses. Sorry. I saw it for myself. I was deployed in a place called Sitaram Dera, Sakchi Sitaram Dera. That's the area. See, one fine morning, I used to go on my rounds and on one fine morning, I got a message from one of the boys. There's some stink that is coming.
Okay.
Now, I was baffled. I said, what sort of a stink? He said, बहुत गंदा सा बदबू आ रहा है. So we went. I went with him. I took a couple of boys with me with weapons and these things and all. We saw a bus
Okay.
fully charred. And then we peeped into the bus. We found there were dead bodies. Right? And can you beat it? This charred bus was not very far away from the police station which was there. There were no responses that had come. So then I radioed my commanding officer. I said, this particular thing has happened. Then the local administration, these things all came. So it seems that bus was burnt elsewhere and dumped here.
Oh.
Right? And the first time I saw death at very close call. That was after that. So many times I've seen death at very close call, but this is sort of a charred body there, and that particular thing really, I mean, how do I say? For a minute I was shaken up. First time when you see a thing like this, I was a little shaken up as to, I mean, if people could do this, killing each other. And small babies and this thing and this thing. But that's what all politics is all about. So that was my this. Then the unit came back after we did a very successful sort of, we were able to settle a lot of people. The riots got over. There was a peace that came into Jamshedpur. We came back. From there I was moved to as an advanced party. We moved to a place called Malari, which is Mana Malari. You must have heard of the famous Badrinath. So that area the unit was. And then it was an operational deployment.
Okay.
So, I mean, like that, there are a lot of, I had exposures all over. I served in J&K for 10 years.
Okay.
We'll talk about that a little later. Then obviously you do a instructional tenure, you do a staff tenure, you come back, you do there. Then I was lucky enough to come back to the center again.
Okay.
As the adjutant of the center.
Okay.
So I was then instrumental in the training of the same boys. Those recruits who were there. And that's how I learned all about the regiment, more about the regiment. Well, J&K was a different ball game altogether.
So tell us about, elaborate. Whatever you can.
Yeah, okay. Now, J&K I've had 2 tenures.
Okay.
Now, one was, of course, on staff. I was posted now the famous Uri.
Okay.
Now I was posted in Uri, and Uri is a bowl, right? Now there is in Uri itself there is a bridge called the Command Bridge. There's a bridge which links India and Pakistan.
Okay.
So and only the UN people are supposed can go across that bridge.
Okay.
The Pakistanis cannot come here, and we cannot go that side. Okay. 3/4 of the bridge is maintained by
United
Indians, and 1/4 is maintained by 2/3 is maintained by the Indian army, and 1/3 is maintained by
other side
by the Pakistani. But when we have flag meetings there, whenever there's commotion, when there is an like shooting incidents or these things happen across the valley. Then this is the place where the meeting happens, where the UN also is there, and the meeting happens to sort of suppress the environment which is there. So we were deployed. I mean, I was a part of the staff there, so I've seen Uri as a very close quarter. I've gone across the whole Pir Panjal ranges. I had a very unique experience while I was posted in Uri. My brigade commander, he was writing a book on General Zorawar, if you've heard of him. General Zorawar was one of the finest kings in the J&K. And one fine day, he said, I'm going on a trek. I'm going to write a book on General Zorawar.
Okay.
And I said, I would like you to join, he told me.
Okay.
And I was recently married, just married. And this is 1985. Okay. And I asked my wife. My wife hardly used to come and stay with me because we were in an operational area. But then that time she was there with me, and I said, yeah, I'm going. So we went for a trek.
Okay.
And the trek was about 430 odd kilometers over 16 days on the Zanskar Valley.
Oh.
Now this trek made a lot of difference to the deployment of the Indian Army in due course. course of time, because there are two axes which takes you to Leh, right? One is you are going via Srinagar.
That's
The other is coming via Rohtang.
Rohtang Pass.
Himachal. Now, in between, there's a gap. So we walked across the thing. We connected from this axis to the other axis.
Okay.
And when he came back and told the bosses on top, they said it's quite possible if we build a road on this, we can switch axis anytime without the enemy knowing about it. So he worked on that. So that was a very good achievement as far as my commander was concerned. Although he wrote the book about Zoragar, but this particular thing was this thing. This commander reminds me of a very interesting sort of a thing. Like you said, you mentioned about Tagadaro. Now, in the army, when you get married, you have to seek permission to get married.
Okay.
Right? In the sense that you have to be 25 and then you have to take a permission from your boss to get married. Secondly, when you have to take your wife to some place, especially to the field area, you have to seek the blessings of the commander who's there.
Okay.
So I wrote a letter to this thing. And those days there was no phone calls and social media was not there. So I wrote a letter to him and I said, okay, I got married on so and so date and I would like to bring my family when I am joining Uri for a short time. And I signed off Tagadaro, which is like when you write regards or best wishes, I write Tagadaro even now. So then I went with my wife. We had a house welcoming party, and she was being welcomed to the armed forces. And in an open forum, he says he got married, and he's writing to me Tagadaro. Who has to be Tagada? He or me? So like you're laughing, there was laughter all around, So small little things, which pep you up and you should remember and these things a lot. The other thing is he was very fond of squash.
Squash.
Yeah, and I used to love
that game.
Yeah,
yes.
Squash. So I used to also join, and before my wife joined, I used to go in the morning with him to play squash and basketball. And early in the morning, I used to have that habit. At 5 o'clock in the morning, he'd call me up and he says, Murli, a round of golf. And that place is very cold and that's okay, acceptable when you're a bachelor and you're. And I got married, my wife with me early in the morning. He calls me up. Hi Murli, how are you? What are you doing? I had no answer to that. I'm with my wife, early morning, 5 o'clock, newly married, and a question to me is, what are you doing? So I said, I'll get you dressed up and come. So that's in a lighter way. So, these are things, kids reverberating through your memory and nostalgic. Yes. Small little things which don't actually pep you up. But then they give you, yes, of course, you are a part of that particular system.
Okay.
So that's how it is. But actually, very, it is, like sitting here, we don't realize the man across is the same like us. There's no difference between the man who's sitting across and the man who's on this side of the line of control.
Sorry to interrupt, but that was one of my next question. Yes, sir. Conflict में होता क्या है? What happens in a conflict?
It starts off it triggers off with a very small little thing. See, the conflict could be various. It could be a momentary pressing of your light machine guns or your medium machine guns, where you feel that there has been some trespassing or there has been some infiltration, or to just keep you alive. It could be like Pakistan has won the cricket match today. There used to be no T20s then. ODIs also were not there. Test matches were there, right? And he's won it, and he will fire because you don't have the other type of pyrotechnics available with you. So you're using this to this thing, acknowledge, celebrate, right? And he'll on his loudspeaker he will say, "हरा दिया आपको, हरा दिया." तुम्हारा सचिन ने क्या किया? Yeah, those days it used to be.
And this communication is between one post in India and the other post in Pakistan.
And it's a valley. whatever I speak, you can hear
Echoes.
across. It echoes across, you know. You don't require gadgets like you have today to broadcast that particular thing. Is कि तो तुम्हारे सुनील गावस्कर ने क्या किया, हमारे जावेद ने देखो सेंचुरी मार दी, you know, that sort of thing. And that is how they used to, and that's fun and frolic. So what I was trying to tell is not much of a difference. Like on Eid, they will give us sevaiya.
Okay.
On Diwali, we will give them sweets. And sweets used to come all the way from Jalandhar and places like that, you know. And it was all there. These are, you know, localized this thing. So these, when I talk about this, it's a political game, right? You have to keep the sovereignty of your line of control on the international border, right? But men, per se, they are the same. There's not much of a difference. So when you talk about conflicts, so one is this which triggers off because of victory, maybe a walnut tree. You know, I mean, like you don't realize there's a walnut tree standing on the line of control. The half of the walnut tree is towards you, and half the walnut tree is there. And when the fruit comes in, obviously they are laid in that side also, this side also, and you're plucking it from the other end. And then he says, "Ki tumne mera clear," will fire, and that's it. So that is this thing. Then you have low intensity conflicts, LIC, which I'll talk about it where I was injured.
Sure.
Right. So that is there. So that happens, you know, there is an ingress that has happened, or there is a infiltration that has happened. So there's a local sort of a thing. Then it gets specified by a flag meeting, or at the highest level, the commanders will meet, and you know that is brought down, scaled down to a level.
The diplomatic meeting.
Yeah, that is a diplomatic, low intensity conflict. And then you have proper conflict where a proper war being waged, maybe a Kargil war, or, you know, like there are a lot of low intensity conflict which are not sort of broadcasted. It is held, it is buried at that commander's level only, so that, you know, the people across do not get panicked.
Okay.
Right. Now, when I was talking about the first time when I was there in Kashmir, so I mean, like, I used to go with my wife. We used to drive down from Uri to Srinagar. Used to be about 120 kilometers. My commander was very kind enough. He used to say, "You're newly married, so you can take your wife and go around." So we used to go for the sea. You won't believe how it has been inculcated in that particular feeling which was there. They never thought that they were Indians.
Okay.
Right? They would, I mean, like if they looked at an Indian, they had a different feeling altogether.
Why?
Maybe, you know, like it could be that, you know, this particular state was cut off from the mainstream for quite some time. Right? And they had Hindustani hold.
Okay.
That is how they used to call.
There is a difference in Kashmiri and
Kashmirian. These are from Hindustani, and we are Kashmiris.
Okay.
So that feeling was there. But to a degree, when I went recently to Kashmir, it's not there, thanks to our Prime Minister. And a lot of things have changed. I mean, but that particular thing was not there during those particular times. Right? I was there when the first Lal Chowk mein the pehla blast hua tha. I was there in Srinagar that day.
Okay.
I still remember. I was there, the first blast that happened. And after that, the insurgency has come in a big way into this militancy. What it says, militancy has come in a big way. This thing. So somewhere in the line, some things have been created. Something has been from our side. The failure could be from our side also. The failure could be from the other side also. But it has stemmed. Right? जो भोले भाले लोग हैं उनको भड़काया गया. So what I'm trying to say is that alienation, what I talk about the Northeast also, and Kashmir also, is a basic creation created by us. So, and the army is a tool being deployed. Wherever wrong thing happens, the defense forces get a wrong name, right? That's basic. Anyway, I'm
Yes.
talking something which is talking from
No,
my
no,
heart.
sure.
Yeah, so it has got nothing to do with the doctrines or the policies. See, I cannot sit and talk about what is there in the mind of the government person, right? They must be having a bigger agenda,
Bigger picture.
bigger. Their vision is much beyond that. We can talk about only at the ground level realities. We cannot talk about what is at the strategy level.
Yeah. So, sir, coming to your that LIC thing.
Yeah.
You were talking.
Okay.
Let's.
Now, my name is my first name is Murlidhar.
Murlidhar.
Okay. Now, Murlidhar is related to Sri Krishna,
Hmm.
and Sri Krishna's birth is Janmashtami. Right. Now, it's a Hindu this thing that a lot of people keep fast on Janmashtami. I also do keep. I used to keep, and I'm not that I'm saying I'm a very hard and fast about it, but Janmashtami somehow has been from the time I've been this thing adult. I've been keeping fast on Janmashtami.
Okay.
So this was 1991. It was Janmashtami, 1st of September 1991.
Okay.
Very precise.
Okay.
And suddenly I got a call. I was deployed. I was commanding a company. And I get a call, there has been some skirmish and you're required to go. We've already got a platoon deployed there.
Okay.
Of this. It was actually a territory of a different battalion.
Okay.
Our battalion was not supposed to be there.
Okay.
But some sort of a reinforcement was supposed to be sent in. And and then a platoon of ours was sent, rocket launchers and things like that. They were sent under an officer.
Where's that?
This was in a place called Kirni in Punch district. There's a place called Kirni, and the operation was Kirni operation thereafter. And my commanding officer told me, he says, Murli, you have to go. There is a situation, there's this thing. A lot of people have got knocked out, and you're required to go and gain control of that particular thing. The commander wants you to go around. So I went around. And walk a lot. I went there. It was so before going, you talked about that buddy. Even a sepoy, a jawan, who's your man Friday, he's also called a buddy. He's actually a radio operator, but he helps you out in all your activities. So he told me, he says, "Aap ja rahe ho, you don't know when you'll come back. So kuch kha lo." So langar, we have the cookhouse is called a langar. The kitchen is called a langar. So he bought some dal and chawal, and he was a Dogra boy. We had a mixed caravan, and he says, "Khalo." So I ate that, and I said, "You never know next meal when." And then by the evening hours, we had reached there, and then we were deployed, and. I think that sector, the first time the Bofors guns were used. Okay, that particular sector, Bofors were firing. And there were casualties on our side. We had already lost, my battalion had lost about 2 men already. And the dead bodies were coming down. And I was there and I was reorganizing the whole thing, how do I work out deployment and things like that. And we had a sort of a makeshift sort of a bunkers and these things which were made there. And then suddenly I got a news that, one of my junior commissioned officer also has been hit. So he was brought down the next day. That's on 2nd.
Next day?
Yeah. And I find that he was shot by a rocket launcher and his leg had gone. Totally. Right? And then there was a medical facility there was a doctor there. There is no light. He was working with lantern and candle. And this guy was there, and I was being from the same battalion, so I was sitting with him. And it was say about 12 o'clock at night, and he tells me, he says he was bleeding very profusely bleeding, and the doctor was trying his level best to get the vein on where he could inject, So he told me, he's a young captain, he told me, sir, I can't see anywhere, anything, how do I inject anything to him? So this gesture told me, he said, sir, आपके पास में पिस्टल है ना, मुझे गोली मार दो, मैं जीना नहीं चाहता. कहता अपाहिज हो जाऊंगा, अभी शादी किया है, घर जाके क्या करूं? I said, no, we will try our level best to this thing. Now it is already night. Tomorrow morning we'll ask for, let's see if we can get something, some helicopter or something, and evacuate you from there. But you will live. So this particular conversation kept, I wanted to keep him, talking about
Get
good
distracted.
things and, get him motivated through the night. It was about 2 o'clock at night. So you've heard of a thing called Akhri Hichki. Akhri Hichki. Just before you die, you take a last Hichki.
Okay.
It's called a Akhri Hichki.
Akhri.
Hichki.
Yes.
Hichki, what's Hichki? So at about 12 o'clock at night, we knew where he's going.
Okay.
This guy tells me, he says, साहब आप मुझे बचा सकते हैं क्या? मैं जीना चाहता हूँ.
Initially,
he wanted him, he didn't never want to live. Right? And now at 2 o'clock, 12 o'clock, his statement was that he wanted to die. At 2 o'clock, he wants to live. And he knows all the way that he is not going to live. But the desire to live. Right? So he said that and he died. Okay. Sad, so I radioed my boss that this had happened. And obviously next morning the body has to be taken on the stretcher. So I went back to my tent. I go to sleep. I removed my shoe, didn't remove my socks also. Removed my shoe and when the daybreak happened, my guy, another guy was there who came to give me a cup of tea. We have that mug of tea. So he says, sir, are you hurt? I said, no, obviously the guy died, I'm hurt. नहीं, मैं वो नहीं बोल रहा हूँ. आपको चोट लगा है क्या? मैंने बोला नहीं. बोला लेकिन आपका जूता तो गीला है. मैंने बोला जूता गीला है? बोला हाँ. So then I looked down. That socks, that green woolen socks which you have, it had gone, there was blood all over. Right? I didn't realize it. And then he told me, he's up, just lift up my leg. I lifted my leg, there was a sharp nail hanging from down. I didn't realize it. Then I just pulled it. He said, don't do it, sir. Why are you doing it?
Nail that comes out of that.
When you have bomb blast, you have these sharp nails.
Yes.
So it went through and through my shoe, through my leg, and it got stuck there. It was sick. And it was hanging. So I just pulled it out. So at that point of time, I didn't realize this particular thing has happened.
And isko kitna time ho gaya tha?
So it was next morning, na? I mean, I didn't realize.
Whole one day?
Whole one day. I was walking with that because there are so many things which is happening around. It did not, I did not realize that, yes, I have
there was no sense of it.
No sense of pain. So, obviously I had to report. I'm a battle casualty now. I had to report I reported to my commanding officer and he lost his shirt. What the hell, why didn't you tell me? I said, I didn't know, how did I tell you? And then from there I was evacuated and they did an operation on me. They took me to the hospital, the ADS, it's called Advanced Dressing Station. There they did a surgery on me. And for 2 months, I was on, I was, crutches. So a lot of people used to be, like this to take me to the toilet, blah, 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 and all that happened. But what I am trying to convey is, at that point, your personal safety is not as important as the safety of the men under command. So that particular injury is still there. That after they operated me, there is a small shrapnel which is still left. What people say, na, I'm not afraid of death. I will die for my country. I will see, It is always at one point of time, you do feel that, yes, right?
That's a basic human emotion.
So the army man is not anything different. He's also a human being. So that's what it is. So when we say that when people say that you are sporting the uniform, you're supposed to die for the country. How can I make a statement like that? So as an Indian, you're not supposed to do something for the country. Only that soldier blue who's wearing that particular uniform is required to die for the country. He's also got
it's a collective responsibility.
So that's what it is.
And also, Sir Sam Manekshaw has that line, no?
Yeah.
You shed some light into that.
Correct.
But about that line, hello? Yes.
No, that particular thing is that it is a statement wherein he is trying to convey that it is not only the onus of responsibility lies with the soldier. It is a collective sort of an effort.
Yes.
Right? Now, Sam Bahadur was a different persona, fire or whatever you call him. He was a different leader altogether. He would not make any. He was not bothered about anything. I mean, like he would call a spade. Whether it was Madam Gandhi, he was very clear about what he has to convey to her. Yeah.
Yes.
Right. And when he said we are not prepared, When we were supposed to go into the war in April, he made it very clear we are not ready for it.
Yes.
I'll get you this thing. But December is the time when you give a green that we can go into Bangladesh and do it. Of course, the spade work was being done, but that's what it is. That's all about it. So a person who can stand up and speak to the polity and speak to the government and tell them that yes, you are pushing the forces into the war front, but are we ready for it? So that's sort of what do you call it?
Charisma.
Only he had that particular thing. Who could stand up and talk to the Prime Minister.
And so I was very fortunate that a lot of people get to know about Sir Sam Manekshaw after this movie, or उनका introduction बहुत recent है, but I was very fortunate that I was able to read about him. I've heard that famous speech. In that speech, he says that famous line it is not, if a person says that he is not afraid of that, either he is telling a lie or he is a good guy. So pura speech was very powerful to me. I heard that speech when I was in my college years, and I was preparing for UPSC.
Okay.
I've given one attempt. I was not able to clear it, but I was very motivated by he gave a lecture on leadership.
Yeah.
That I recommend to our audience कि वो lecture पूरा सुनो. It is about 1.5 hours, and that speech, that lecture has a very great impact on me, and that made me think what a leader is and what is a leader is not about power.
Correct.
It's not about that authority.
Yeah, 180 minutes of Vicky Kaushal is not enough to define Sam Manekshaw as a person.
Sure.
Right? He is much beyond that. He's a person who is worshipped across the armies for the man he was.
Yes.
Right? And I mean, see, the movie has opened doors and is motivating a lot of people. But we have to go much beyond this to motivate the Gen Next to come to the army. Yes. It is not, like what happens today. When is the army being talked about? 15 August, 26 January, Kargil Divas, or if there is skirmish
BJD,
somewhere.
specifically.
Okay? An operation that happens. Or now it is being deployed in a sort of a thing like an Uttakashi tunnel, this thing. Even there, the army has worked, but the limelight has gone elsewhere. Yeah, obviously the others have also worked very hard, but it is the army who made the initial inroads into this place. Today the army there's a small little child who falls into a ditch or well, the army is deployed there. There's a railway strike, the army is deployed there, right? Anywhere, the internal security duties, obviously it's a part of our this thing. But there are floods happening, there's earthquakes, everywhere the army is being deployed. But we talk about the army only on the, I think it's right from our school days itself, 15 August, 26 January. See, there is more hoo-ha and halla when India wins and World Cup, then India gets a victory something in our state. None of the people are aware. I wouldn't say none. Majority of the people are not aware that Indian peacekeeping force are doing wonders.
Yes, and yes. Like for example, most of the people will know that, but the United Nations peacekeeping force, majority of the huge percentage is from India.
From India.
Indian Armed Forces.
Absolutely. You're this thing. So that's what I'm saying. So that particular exposure is not there. Now, when I talk about I keep saying that 15 August, 26 January, a couple of rewards. Beyond that, it dies its own very natural death. Suddenly, there will be a movie that will come, a border will come, or this thing people will say, and then they'll talk about the army. Do we talk about the defense forces? Is there a lesson or this thing being taught in the schools or colleges where we talk about the valor of these people? No.
Yeah.
There are scripts available. There's a whole full series on Paramveer checks being fought or won by our gallant soldiers. We never talk about that. We are so included in our day-to-day politics that we do not talk about the soldier blow. So that is where the youth has to be. How does the youth get motivated?
Yes.
If you have to motivate the youth, you have to tell them about these people. Then only they'll make this thing. Today, he would prefer to do an IIM or an IIT or become an entrepreneur or do create some sort of a job avenues for him. Given a chance, he will do that. He will not join the armed forces. That is why we have shortage. We have about 10,000 officers short in the armed forces. We talk in terms that we are a 1.4 million strong army, and we are the second largest standing army in the thing. We must be fourth as far as the strength is concerned. US being right on top, but still we've got miles to go. There are a lot of radical changes which have happened. The weaponry systems have changed. The drone war has come into play. Technology has come into the fore. But towards the end of the day, it is just man
behind the machine that matters.
Right? So that is where it is. So where does that man come from? The man has to be picked up from the streets.
Yes.
He has to be motivated to join this thing.
Yes.
Right? I will not talk here about the Agniveer. That's a different platform altogether. And that's a different sort of an entry which has been started for the armed forces. Only time will tell. But why that? Why not be a part of the regular army? Why is not the youth getting motivated to join this thing? In closed doors, when we sit in the home, we may talk about the movie Sam Bahadur, but will I tell a Siddharth or a Christy to join the army? Will not. So, we talk about charity begins at home. So, motivation should also start at home, right? Schools, colleges. I will tell you a recent this thing. I went to National Defense Academy, NDA, with about 80 kids from local school here, Mount Litera.
Okay.
And the children were fascinated, totally fascinated. They spoke to the cadets. They were, to a degree, they were motivated. But to augment that, the school or the parents should chip in to ensure that, that sort of motivation. Today they're in 10th class or 11th class or 12th class. To have that continuity, you have to keep pumping in, telling them that this is what it is, this is what it is, this is how we can do it. Look, like a place like Silvassa, there's hardly any NCC on for outfits.
No.
Right? Now, these are the things.
Recently, I guess, only in that our government APJ Abdul Kalam. Yeah, like, I remember there's one friend of mine called Prithvi. He's very fond that I want to join.
Yeah.
So he was, while we graduate, like हम लोग ने जब 12th pass किया, so he was searching for I should join NCC.
Yeah.
And at that time he was very struggling with that kid. Silvassa mein I have to travel to some different college and all. So continue. Sir.
Yeah. I mean, like, we have a Sainik school that has come up in Randa. There is hardly any people who are joining there. See, this particular Union territory have got, the tribals are very, very strong.
Yes.
I had a long talk with the political bigwigs here, long time back. And I told them, I said, I'm ready to motivate, ready to conduct classes and things like that. Let's motivate these children. Let's have them join the forces. We can have the recruitment camp being conducted here. But nothing comes out. I was also there in the SSR college. I did a lot of motivational talk on them to how the avenues shall open in the armed forces. Of course, a lot of children came up. They shook hands with me. I told them, I said, you have shaken hands with me after the lecture is over. I want to come and shake hands once you join the army. So that's the time when I'll feel that, yes, what I have done is worth it.
तब होगी बात, तब असली बात होगी.
असली बात तो होगी. आवाज हाथ मिलाने से कोई मतलब नहीं है. मेरा आप स्पीच सुन के गए, कल आप ज्वाइन करने के बाद हाथ मिलाइए ना. Yeah, I feel very good. Recently there was a boy who came. He's joined the armed forces. He says, sir, you must have forgotten long back. You had motivated me.
Okay.
And I have joined the army, and I want to leave the army. I asked him why. He says, no, I didn't like the atmosphere. So I had a 1 hour sitting with him. I motivated him again. And he says, sir, I'll go back and I'll speak to my parents and I'll continue. It was a very happy moment for me. But what I'm going to say is, we have consultants, we have psychologists, we have all sort of a paraphernalia available. Why can't they come to schools and colleges, right? And motivate these children that there's also an avenue open for them.
Like we see seminars about I have seen colleges में बहुत सारे ऐसे seminars होता है like do your post graduation in Canada, do your this and that, we will give you opportunity. But instead of that we should have join Indian Army. Correct. Or join Indian Armed Forces.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that is very important for youth as well. So sir, last message, we'll conclude with that. What is your message for our youth?
I would tell the youth, basically joining the armed forces as a career. When you talk about the career, armed forces is a career, but it's a profession also. Do not relate the armed forces only as a career, because the professionalism which is there in the armed forces today, which is not there in any of the other spectras, right? You get to see places. You get to learn about various countries. You come to learn about various doctrines. There is adventure, right? And
there's that thrill.
That thrill that to do something, कुछ करने की चाह.
Yes.
ठीक है, वो करने की चाह आप में तभी आ सकती है जब आप एक दृढ़ निश्चय लें कि मुझे जो है आर्म फोर्सेस ज्वाइन करना है. ठीक है, वो आर्म फोर्सेस जो है, आप जो है घर बैठे अगर ये सोचें कि नहीं, आप जाके देखिए कि क्या करते हैं लोग, कैसे करते हैं लोग, उसके बाद में आप उसका एक तजुर्बा लीजिए और आपको वो जो एहसास आएगा That'll be a different level altogether. So I would tell the youth today that join the forces. No, I'm not saying that by joining the forces you're serving the country by doing a lot of other things also. Join the forces to learn the sacrifices of our ancestors, of our people who have sacrificed their lives for your today. What your today is because of their yesterday.
Like I've heard this quote, legacy is not about passing that torch from one person to another. Legacy is about मतलब वो जलाए रखना is a legacy.
वो जुनून रखना चाहिए. वो मतलब कि उसको वो जो आपके दिल में जो आग होनी चाहिए तभी हो सकता है. That is what it is.
Yes, sure, sir. Anything else that you want to say or conclude with?
Yeah, conclude. I will say, taga raho.
Yes,
and sure. May your channel prosper.
Thank you, sir.
From
your blessings
to that level.
Sure, sir.
And I'm sure that a very lovely interaction with you, Sid.
Thank you, sir.
I'm very happy to note or see that there is not fire in the belly, and same fire should be there in the other youth also. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Yeah. Thank you for our blessings, and thank you for once again joining us. Or I had a this episode will be very special to me because of you, sir. And I hope our audiences has also enjoyed this episode and got to learn, and their chaksu jo bolte na khul gaye honge, and they must have been intrigued by the conversation. And thank you very much for joining us. See you next time.